Okay, unfinished business, update on sewer line.
Are we sure that this is disconnected?
Go after, we're.
It doesn't
Well,
matter.
we're in open session anyway.
Open session.
We're in open session, so I'm just getting it back online here.
Well, we gotta wait for it online, so we got some stuff to talk about.
Okay.
So Ray, do you need us any longer?
And then you can close this. No, I think we're good for now, Kevin. And then I'll reach back out to you tomorrow.
Yeah,
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
And then you can omit Janine. It's a process. Okay, I think we're good now.
Okay, update on sewer line.
Oh, so many, well, not, actually only two things. So two things to go over tonight. In the packet, we sent out some additional construction management services with CNS. Having a conversation with Doug, Selby, and just generally, it's clear that we need a little bit more support on the actual construction side of things, because there are things that happen in construction that I didn't know happened in construction. So there's like forms that need to be filled out and letters that need to be sent.
Since I got your emails, which you continue to surprise us
Yeah, I
all
know.
the time, but I would think it would be, if you want to do, we should make arrangements to hire Doug, and whatever we pay him, put it onto the cost of the project to work on the second phase of the sewer line. Work with you while you're here, and then if it doesn't get done before you go to do it, until there's somebody else to. Does that make sense, Tracy?
She and I talked about something to that effect. We didn't talk about exactly Doug, but
No.
we needed more
But
support.
he's kind of into it, and he's reasonably capable of doing that, and he's used to he's used to working with Tracy, but it's up to you, whatever you want.
If that's, so this would be specifically on the construction side of things. It includes the final drawings, making sure the final drawings are correct. It includes, because we all know that having bad as-built is a bad
Now,
thing.
how in the world could anybody not know where that gas line is?
Because they didn't come out and do a walk.
They don't need to come out and walk,
Yeah,
they
they
need
do.
to have,
Yeah,
they
they
need
do.
to have the gas company come out and stake where their line is.
Which,
Okay.
That's what everybody, even as dumb as I am, I can't.
so they did the dig safe. They had them come out and do it before they started digging, and that's when the issue arose.
They should have been done before the final plan was done.
And our engineers that did it.
Well, okay,
So, okay, so regardless, we can have a conversation with Doug about taking on responsibility here. I've not approached him about that, if that's what the board, how the board would like to move forward. So let's pop back around to this, okay?
Okay.
A little bit. I want to get through these other two things first, and then we can pop back to that. Because they're all interconnected. So what's on the table now with CNS is actual construction management support. The only reason I wouldn't see moving forward with this is because I would have needed it if I was staying, and leaving, I think it's important to have that support. So I guess the only reason not to do that would be to have Doug do it instead. So I guess we could wait and have a conversation with him to see if that's something that he'd be willing or available to do, and at what cost. But this is on the table. The other thing is that over the next few weeks, we are gonna have the EDA grant finalized. One thing that came up is that the new funding that's available through the Economic Development Administration as part of the ARP funding, the ARPA, American Rescue Plan funds, is that their economic adjustment program could actually cover 80% of the cost of a project. So we could completely fund phase 2 and use our phase 1 contribution as the contribution towards ESD and be in a great position. So, the way that would work is that, so I'm working with Dave Botar to get something in before I leave for that funding, assuming this is the direction we want to go. We can request a waiver that would allow us to start work as soon as the application is submitted.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask you.
And in that case, but in that case, if we request that waiver, it would be at our own risk. So if for some reason that funding doesn't come through, they're not guaranteeing any funding for any costs incurred, should the application not be approved. So there is a risk involved with doing that as opposed to waiting for the grant announcement.
This is totally different than the grant that you're currently applying for.
It is the same organization, different pot of funding with different levels of funding.
But the stipulations on this
The stipulations are the same.
are the same on both of them,
Yes.
so that, okay, we're not losing ground by going to the new, okay.
Is this the one I talked to John Cagle about?
I don't know,
Oh,
maybe.
did one time, I did an email.
I only got one email from Tom,
Okay,
just saying that he was gonna look.
well, yeah,
But yeah, this is probably where they're gonna point us.
okay,
And since we already had ESD in at 20%, it would fully fund the second phase of the project.
All right, so should we go forward with that then?
So I definitely think it's worth going forward with that application.
Yeah.
And the question is whether or not we want to request that waiver so that we can get the project moving before we have an award announcement.
There's no reason not to request the waiver, and then we can decide at the time whether to start the project or not.
And so one thing is that
That's my view.
the awards will probably be closer to the end of the year, but we should have a pretty good sense of where we stand come.
what's our time frame about doing phase two?
So right now, what we were planning for was to do it in September. That's not gonna happen.
Right,
It's just,
it's already September, basically.
right, it's
Yeah.
already September. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
So the timeline is gonna be off. We could.
I mean, how soon do they expect it to be done? They, CMI, or,
The next year,
Next year,
okay,
yeah,
that's what I thought, but I just wanted to.
yeah. So it would be a matter of doing some change.
my concern is with the contractor, maybe Tracy's already done that, but if you put the contractor off, they can reject, not live up to their bid. And everything has gone up so much, I would hate to
Yep.
let the
I
contractor
know all about it.
out of it.
And the thing about the waiver at least would allow us to pay them for the materials they've already purchased. And at least get that off there and then
Yep, and then we own the materials,
we own the
Yeah.
materials.
I think that's
So
so
wise.
that limits,
this is where
the
this extra
liability.
construction support comes into play, because to make those changes for the contractor, there's certain processes that should be made or should be done. And that's where either CNS or Doug, if that's the direction you want to explore, would come into play to help that process of.
Did
changing
we
the
consider having CMS as a project manager all along?
No, they were just doing construction oversight. So just showing up, inspecting the work, that kind of stuff. This is additional services like filing, like change orders and letters of progress and other things I don't know.
Like
Um,
authorizing payments. So they'll say, okay, you got 40% of the pipe in the ground, they're authorizing payment of 40% of it at this point in time. Those are the things that regular engineering groups do for you. So, you know, before you make any payment, they sign off on it. Sure.
and
I
then
think it's important.
Yeah,
I do too.
yeah.
On a small project, it's
I-
different, it's done,
Exactly.
you know it's in the ground, and hopefully you had somebody inspect that it was done correctly, but on a larger project,
Yes.
I think it's very important.
We need that
There's
done,
no
I just didn't know whether
surprises.
they, who we needed to do it or not.
I mean, I would like to do it with somebody local so that, you know, we've got boots on the ground and,
Yeah,
Absolutely.
but so,
do you have somebody you'd like to work with, or?
I mean, the proposal that I brought forward was from CNS, who's doing the oversight anyway. We did come in under budget on phase one with them, so that helps to offset the cost a little bit.
Yeah.
And based on how fast phase one went, I suspect phase two will also come in under budget.
Yeah.
So, you know, it isn't that all of this cost, I can guarantee all of that cost will be covered by, you know, budget fluctuations, but I think a good portion of it is going to be covered. So whether it's CNS or if you want me to have a conversation with Doug, I can do that and just get a sense from him what that means.
Well, no, I have no problem with having them do it. I just thought with you not being here, we should have someone to kind of act in your place. And I don't mean for him to do,
Okay, oh, okay.
I
You
don't mean
me
for him to do this. I just,
No, that's a
maybe,
good point.
maybe Ray will do it in place.
So, but. on the
That's what I was
timelines-
trying to get
Oh,
at, not
yeah.
having him do this.
I misunderstood,
Well-
that. Thank you.
I got it.
She's somewhat agreed to stick with us for the sewer line part of the project.
That only seems reasonable.
Is that?
Yes.
how you
Yes.
put it?
Started the whole.
I don't mean to speak for you,
No.
but you kind of
So-
assured, me that you would see the sewer
Oh,
line.
yeah, I'm not gonna let this fall off the table. I'm not gonna let it fall through the cracks. That would be a terrible legacy. So my anticipation is that by September 10th, if we can work through some of these change orders and the timeline, that EDA application will be submitted, so we'll be somewhat in a waiting period at that point, but also continuing to help to coordinate some of that communication. And maybe I'll talk to Doug and see if maybe he can at least be included in all of that to make sure nothing's falling through, to as backup and just see.
I'm trying to rush things, and I shouldn't
Yeah.
be doing that, but I'm in a situation at home. The
Sure.
girl that's been with me for 5 years got through Thursday, so my timetable,
Oh, we appreciate it, yeah,
I have to leave at 5:30.
okay,
So here's what I'm gonna recommend. Go ahead with CNS with construction management.
I move we go ahead with CNS as for this construction.
And the EDA, the new ARPA application with the waiver so that we can adjust those costs, even if it's just some of those material costs in between.
Right.
And we can decide how far to go with that when the time comes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's.
So those are the two things from a motion perspective, I think would be good to do.
that'd be one of two motions.
I think you could cover them in both.
Well, I moved to CNS, but I will include the other with it, and
Yeah, I second that.
You know how to write that up then,
Yes,
very good.
we got it.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion seconded that we contract with CNS and what's the other part?
And pursue the ARPA funding through EDA with the waiver for costs after grant submission.
yeah.
Okay. Do we have discussion? Since we already had discussion.
I'll just, one comment is that I'm very pleased that we're working with CNS on this, and I think they've got some bad press, so to speak, in Cuba County, but this is what their wheelhouse is, and this is what they're good at. And so for that reason, I'm very happy that we're gonna do this.
Okay.
Any other comments? All in favor? Any opposed? You got it, Trace.
And then as for the transition, we'll work out some more of those details, but like I said, I'll have some flexibility to continue helping with this particular project, but also answer questions along the way, and I'll work to see if there's a way to back up myself in that.
Where are you from?
So I will be.
You didn't tell us.
I know, I'll be with the MRB group, yeah,
We don't know them.
you know them.
Yeah, we know them, yeah.
I'll be not on the sewer water side of things, but the economic development and planning side of things. Doing consulting work with their other municipal clients on. economic
Hey, we got a
development.
water project.
And you.
I will find the right referral for you.
You'll work out of Syracuse?
I'm mostly gonna be working remotely, So in Auburn, but when I go to the office, I'll be going to Syracuse.
Very, very sorry.
Congratulations.
I'm very excited, thank you. I am sad to leave. I actually meant it when I said that it's been a pleasure to work with you all and be a part of this organization, so it's bittersweet, but
I'm not excited.
I know you're not excited. I'll miss most of you.
Wow, hello down there. In the dark tonight.
Well, I think you've done a hell of a job and you've really gone with the job, so.
You've done an amazing job.
You really have, thank you. So, yeah, keep it dark. So I will.
Right now, the search is a little chaotic, we're just, we had a
I
meeting
wouldn't
this
say
morning.
chaotic, I'd say developing a structure.
Yeah, we had a meeting this morning, and we're gonna have a meeting Friday, possibly, I think.
So
Who's we?
So CCIDA Executive Committee will meet again Friday, and
Yeah, the exec-
Cuba Strategic Solutions met this morning.
Yeah.
I've always thought that the position should not include the Chamber of Commerce position.
We had that discussion this morning.
And I think Tracy completely disagrees with that, but nevertheless, this is the time to discuss it, not when somebody is here. And just for all of our information, who pays your salary?
It's split between CCIDA and the chamber,
And how much does the chamber pay?
50%.
They pay 50%. And do you mind telling us what your salary is?
Not in a public session.
No, I don't think that.
I'd be happy to discuss that afterwards.
Okay, and if I'm not here, if you could let them know.
We're gonna have a quick executive session again.
Yeah, but I'm probably gonna be gone.
No, you won't. We're almost done right now.
We gotta do whatever we're gonna do with that request for the labor thing.
Right,
Oh, yeah, let's do that real quick. So I'm around officially until the 10th. I will be available to help. I'm planning on being available for next month's meeting. So
thank you.
transition is happening, still working out some details. It will be fun.
Okay,
And then I'll follow up with you about those questions.
or with the board, it doesn't. have
Okay,
to
but-
be with me.
No, that's the staff update, I assume.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
Okay, global common labor waiver.
So you may recall recently, we finalized the deal with Global Common. It's called something else now, but it's the project, the renewable natural gas project at Spruce Haven. They've submitted a request around some warranty issues that they have in terms of the installation of their project. So it's the last 2 pages of the packet, 3 pages of the packet. They submitted some alternative percentages. They're asking to be 35% Cuba County, 15% adjacent, 5% New York, and 45% outside. And that outside piece is really related to the firms that manufacture the equipment that they're using, needing to install it for warranties and but they are, even within those components, looking to use local labor, like crane companies, concrete work, to the extent possible, still use local labor, but protect the warranties on all this equipment that they're using.
And what is the relationship without this waiver?
It would jeopardize the warranties on all.
No,
of their
no,
equipment.
what,
Oh, what is it now?
yes,
So it's 65% Cayuga. 15, I think it's 15 adjacent and 10 other, I want to say is how it's set up.
but we do have a set of things in place now that's normal.
The current policy.
The current policy was just what is our standard,
Yes,
and so,
that's 65.
yep, 65, 15, 10, I think it is.
Okay.
So this is them requesting to go outside of that.
Yeah, and that kind of, like when I was reading through it, I was kind of thinking like some of the outside New York stuff is really them purchasing materials. Like when we did the pipe, the sewer, the pipe doesn't come from New York. So I think it's kind of reasonable.
Benny?
I'll ask the same question I asked when Paige asked the same question. What's the total investment in this project? And when you look at total investment in the project, how does that impact the amount of money that's gonna be spent in Cuyahoga County? I think that's what's important. He says what's important to me. I don't know
Yeah.
if the, intent of the Cuyahoga County IDA is different than that, but that's kind of what I would ask is what's the total cost of the project so that we can have a better idea of how much is going to be invested in Cuyahoga County.
So the policy is built around actual people, not around investment.
Mhm.
So I can't answer that question.
But the ongoing labor is all gonna be Cuyahoga County. Any additional people would be,
Well, this is just the start of a bigger piece, that this is kind of,
But as usual, I'm always on the other side. These people knew what our policy was when they applied for it, and they get the application approved, and then they want to change it.
Kind of like they changed their name.
No, they live with that, or they don't do the project.
So I'm not used to going against her.
Whoa.
I know,
is that why you went to the back of the room?
exactly right. I would like it a little darker.
You should have said near the door though.
Yeah, so as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, the reason for the exemption is because of some specialized or warranty work. So it's not like, as I read it, pour concrete, it'll be local, to get cranes in there, it'll be local. But it's not unreasonable for me to say that the company's buying something from Pennsylvania and they want their people to come in and to install it for the warranty to be in effect. I don't think that's unreasonable. If they said, we're gonna bring in our masons from Pennsylvania to pour the pad,
That's
I would
different.
find that unreasonable, but
Yeah.
unless there's something I'm missing, I think this is all about very specific work that's being done by the employees
right.
of the company where they're purchasing the material.
It's like a well channel, we're buying a lot of, $1 million CNC machines,
Right.
presses or what. Typically, our guys aren't installing them.
Right, because you wanna be able to blame
I
somebody when
know,
it goes wrong.
but your company's not getting a tax break to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Major
different
thing.
time
You
here.
you think these guys, the milk guys beg, you should see how we beg.
So.
But I really think it's part of the problem. Unfortunately, they're doing it as labor, but to me,
I think what they want is a very small piece of their project. Is that correct?
no.
That's not what it looked like in what the email that you sent us.
No, I mean, I wouldn't say it's small. I mean,
Right.
they're dropping their Cuyahoga County participation from 65 to 35.
Right.
But it is also one of the reasons that we lay out in the policy for a waiver. We've specifically said in the policy, if it's warranty related, well, that is an acceptable reason for a waiver.
And this is warranty related, correct, for the most part?
Yes.
The ongoing day-to-day, we are hoping they're hiring locals for whatever the project is. But these very specific things,
Then, John, then be specific with your waiver.
Can you carve it out?
Be specific with your waiver.
I
We would
thought
follow
they
those
were.
percentages.
That's-
Yeah.
that's what I was reading, is
Yeah, the note from them was pretty
the
detailed.
upgraded skids, the metering and all that, they're buying from a specific company and they want somebody to specifically come in and put it in.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all I'm speaking to is this 2-page or 1-page actually explanation. But if there's more to it, I mean, if they were gonna bring in people from Pennsylvania to work here on the day-to-day operations, then I would have issues with that. But if it's just to install equipment and put it in so they protect the waiver, I think that's reasonable.
That's the issues we're going to.
Yeah, I mean, their letter was pretty detailed.
So I'm conflicted, John, right now. I don't know if I should agree with Herb or agree with you, because, you know.
Rock and a hard place, my friend.
How about, let's do this. Is there a motion for the waiver? You didn't?
I move it.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, is there any further discussion?
It's a beat.
Roll call vote, Taylor.
Put the
Let's
pressure.
put the cards up.
Mr. Lockwood,
Yes.
Mr. Marshall,
No,
Mr. Reinfeldt,
Yes.
Mr. Langton,
Yes.
Ms. Pino,
Yes,
Mr. Vitale,
Yeah,
Mr. Lattimore.
yes.
Good thing you did the roll call, you really put him on the.
Oh, okay, all except one voting aye, it passes. Is there anything else?
Not other than going back into.
Do we have a, what do you want? Do we have another executive session
I'll move.
to discuss, on favor,
I,
opposed? Okay,
Stop streaming.
motion to adjourn,
So move. Second.
all in favor?
Aye.